everybody to another episode of August Love Story. It's me, Tommy T, and my beautiful wife, Artieka T.
That's still so funny.
Artieka T.
Yes.
But it goes together. It flows.
I prefer to go by A-Town.
It definitely flows, man.
A-Town.
A-Town, okay.
Stay there.
All right. A-Town in the building. This episode today, man, we're doing about in-laws. Like, disclaimer, on my side, in my eyes, my in-laws are the greatest. I have some of the best in-laws that you actually can have. But no, this episode really is to kind of go over some problems or issues that people, random issues that you kind of go up against when it comes to your in-laws and ways that we see how we've been able to have a relationship or
how we would get around it if that was actually our issue, because most of these are not. Yeah,
most of them are not our issue
to us.
And everything. So, and that's what the episode will be about today. So, how are you doing, wife?
I'm doing swell, husband.
Are you? Awesome.
I'm here. I'm alive. I am
definitely
not quarantined, but I am also not going outside.
Right.
So
definitely not going outside today. But so let's get right into it, man. So we was reading this article about in-laws. It was on the Bride Story blog. 9 common in-law problems and how to handle it. The first problem, my in-law is too controlling. How do you want to do this, man? Because, we could just jump right into it, but I feel like it needs to be some type of backstory first.
About how this article got placed in your hands? Or
no,
okay.
I just felt like it should be a backstory, but maybe it shouldn't.
Give a backstory.
I don't have one.
Oh, all right then. So
I don't know.
Okay, so the first problem is my in-law is too controlling. That's not something that I've experienced, I don't believe.
And basically what they're saying, with the in-laws being too controlling, the in-laws just try to take over. Have a takeover spirit or wants to run your life as they would.
They want to continue being the parent even though you are an adult who is...
A functioning adult.
A functioning adult who is married and hopefully not in their home.
Yeah. Honestly, I've never seen that.
I have.
Have you?
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen that with any of my friends or anything of that sort. So I've seen it and I've commented on it to you, but I don't want to bring up people that it's about because they might possibly be listening. But I will say that a lot of the times it's the mom, and I can't not fault moms because hey, I'm a mom myself, but I think the issue with being a controlling mom is more so that you always see this person as your baby and not ever as the adult that they are. Yeah.
And that's a slippery slope because, of course, they will always be your baby.
Right.
But they are also an adult. So you just have to tread lightly. And I'm in quite a few marriage groups on Facebook. A lot of them are wife groups rather than true marriage groups.
Yeah.
But a lot of women have that issue with their mother-in-law, saying that their mother-in-law wants to come in and dictate their household and how things go. And they just don't know how to get their husbands to put their foot down. And I think that that's an issue a lot of times, which I haven't had that issue with you because with you, anybody can get it. But that's your up front.
You make it seem like I'm just a rude guy.
You're not rude, but you are very, very in your face. About the way that you feel about things.
Yeah.
So since you are such an in-your-face person, you say how you feel no matter how much it upsets a person. your parents included.
Yeah.
So, just so I have to deal with that with you.
Yeah.
You got anything for this one?
Nah.
All right, we can move on to number 2.
Number 2, my in-law is rude or unfriendly.
Oh my gosh. So we have definitely had this conversation about a family member in particular whose in-laws are very rude to him.
Yeah.
It's like he can do no right in their eyes, and for him not to be able to do any right in their eyes really sucks. And I just don't know how I would deal with it if I was him. How would you deal with it if my mom or my dad's, I have to say dads because I got 2 of them.
Well,
if my dad or my stepdad treated you away.
I'm weird because it's like I would still treat them the same. I would treat them, how I want them to treat me. And I would speak, and that's pretty much all I would do. That's pretty much how I do your dad now.
Yeah, I mean,
I just speak and keep going, and when he does decide to have a conversation, then I have a conversation with him. I don't try to push. My dad
isn't rude. He's just weird.
Right. I mean, and I understand that, and I feel like because my dad is that way. My dad doesn't talk.
Yeah, your dad does not talk at all.
And so, I understand, like, if they want to talk, we can talk, but the most they're gonna get from me is hello, and I'm gonna keep pushing.
I never thought about how similar our dads are in that regard. Like, they both literally don't talk unless they really, really have something to say.
Right.
Otherwise, they're both just sitting there very quiet.
Yeah, quiet and wait their turn, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it's like that's a hard thing about our situation. It's like we have. Well, on my part, I don't know how you feel about my mom and my dad, but for your mom and your dads, it's all love with your mom. It is. I've learned a lot from her, and being able to have that relationship with her, that positive relationship with her, has helped us out in so many ways.
Absolutely. I'm happy that you guys were able to forge a relationship with each other,
right?
Like outside of me.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with your stepdad. Just because in the beginning it was like he couldn't remember my name.
Yeah, your name was Tommy.
Tommy. But he came around, and it's so much respect right there with him because he's a father to me. Just being able to go to him and talk to him and ask questions about things that I'm curious about. Problem number 3, my in-law is still treating my spouse like a child.
We kind of we can kind
of just go past that because I mean, like, a lot of these issues I wouldn't say ignore.
You confront in the face.
I wouldn't. I mean, like, these are issues that I don't feel like needs to be confronted with the parent. I think it needs to be confronted with your spouse. And your spouse needs to...
If your spouse's parents are treating them like that. Right. Absolutely. Now, if you're the person who's being treated like a child, then you need to talk to your parents. But for me, I would not go to neither your mom nor your dad and be like, hey, stop doing it. Yeah. Because that's your fight, not mine. Right. And same for me.
Exactly. I feel like it needs to be a buffer there just because comfortability. You know what I'm saying? I always feel like it needs to be a buffer when it comes to the other person's family because the other person's family, you get more out of people you know.
Well, not all the time. Sometimes I have to be your buffer for your mom.
But that's a different story. Yeah. but it's you, like, more people are comfortable with the people that they know versus and they'll take it differently.
Absolutely.
Because you can say the same thing. I can say the same thing to my mom, and then you can come back and say the same thing to my mom, and she takes it from you, but then from me, she wouldn't, or vice versa. Most of the time it's vice versa, but my mom, is, love my mom. Moving right along. Number 4 is my in-laws too involved in my married life.
That is a total opposite problem that we have because we don't see our parents.
Yeah.
They're so far away. I wish we were closer in proximity.
I think we would run into a lot more of these issues if we were closer.
Yeah. Absolutely. And most of the people that I see, with the exception of one family member of yours that I just brought up, most of the people that have these issues is because they live in the same city, state, neighborhood as their in-laws, which proximity does create additional problems. The family that we have here is very small. We don't see each other a lot, but I would like to think that we're very close.
Yeah.
Your cousins are my cousins and my cousins are your cousins.
Right.
And we try to spend as much time as we feasibly can. Traffic just don't allow for that.
Right.
Traffic and lifestyles don't allow for that because we got to go to work and you got to sit in traffic to get to somebody's house. But we don't have the involvement because we, of course, and this is my advice to most people, is keep issues in-house. Unless it's something that, you need a sounding board of friendship, but for family definitely has a problem with forgiving your spouse.
Yeah.
Because if you have gone through and said that, if I called my mom and I said, Tommy did X, Y, and Z and A, B, and C and 1, 2, and 3, she might feel a way about Tommy. I doubt my mom would do that at this stage.
Yeah.
But say I led with those issues, however many years ago we started dating, she would probably be looking at it like, why are you here? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And she would feel that way about you as well. So
right.
I think that a lot of it is you need to pull back from sharing. Because oversharing is what creates those issues.
Yeah.
Oversharing and then them actually seeing it.
Yeah. Number 5 is...
The battery's nothing in it. Or is it? Never mind. Number 5. I'm sorry. I was looking over here at the wrong one. Write that down. The time.
Number 5. My in-laws judge and criticize every move. Nah, doesn't happen. I mean, if it did, if I was being criticized by everything I do, I tell everybody all the time, everybody has an opinion about things. Take what you need, take what you can use, and keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty much, you got to take that approach with any type of advice, because at the end of the day, I feel like the in-laws feel like they're being helpful when they could be, actually just not being helpful at that point. You know what I'm saying? So it's 2 ways you can go with it. You can either say, okay, hear their advice and keep going, or you can tell them.
Yeah.
In a respectful way. Talk to them about the things that hey, stop telling me this, or, you know what I'm saying, something like that. But just be open. But you have to have that relationship with your in-laws anyway, to be open to say, hey, I don't really need that advice. Or
I'm still going to do whatever I want to do.
Or you're right. So
don't waste your breath.
Did you have anything to add to it? No? Moving right along. Number 6, my in-law is clingy and overly attached to my spouse. So basically that issue is pretty much saying that the parent is the one that's being like a child at that point.
Like codependency.
Yeah, codependent on their child to survive, basically. Every move they make, They want to be involved. Everything they do. Right, exactly. They want to be involved. So, I mean, the best way to deal with that is to conversation. You still got to communicate with your parents about, hey, we're doing this, or, you know what I'm saying?
It has to be I don't know the word that I want to use. It has to be a transition. That's the word I want to use. You have to transition from being a child to being an adult with your parents. And a lot of times, especially as Black people, it takes a lot of time to build into that transition. Yeah. Because a lot of Black parents look at it like, you are my child and you are my child forever, rather than you are my child, but you are an adult. Yeah. And I think that a lot of it is dependency on each other for things as to what changes and how you can move things along, for lack of better words, in that relationship.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Number 7 is my in-laws have no respect for my privacy.
If they don't have any respect for your privacy, they 9 times out of 10 don't have any respect for their child's privacy. Yeah. And that's how we arrived there.
Yeah. I had to deal with that with my mom. Like, she would open my mail when I was in school or have mail there. And I hated that. And so the best thing I could do is just remove it from her temptation. You know, so I got my mail transferred to wherever I was. Yeah.
And that is such a Black mama thing. Like, you got some mail, I opened it. You owe these people $150, and you like,
why are you reading my mail?
Do you know that is against the law, and I will report you?
Like, it's like they just don't care.
Right.
But, you know, just the parents not respecting your privacy, man. A lot of that comes from when you actually live with the parent or, like, really around the parent like that. So,
yeah, because I don't think you and I would ever, because my mom used to open my mail too, but I don't think you and I would ever have that issue with our dads.
No, not at all.
Like, at all, period.
Not
like,
at all.
My dad called me one time to say somebody called him looking for me. And I was like, how did they get your number? And he was like, I don't know. That's what I was trying to figure out. I thought you might be in trouble. But that was like the extent of it. That's dumb. And that just happened like maybe a few weeks ago. Yeah. But outside of that, my dad has never like called me and said, you got something at my house or anything like that. He's just always been like, I mean, you figure it out. You grown.
Number 8, my in-law is dramatic and too sensitive.
I have that problem.
Do you?
Your mama is a little dramatic at times. Is she? With you, yes.
Yeah, she is.
I won't say just with you, but it is. Sometimes she's dramatic with you.
She definitely is. I love my mom, but...
Yeah, I mean, that don't make any of us... I'm dramatic.
Right.
So it's like, in that regard, you have 3 dramatic women in your life. Well, 2 women and a little girl, because Lily's dramatic too. But it's just like... The dramatics don't bother me as the daughter-in-law as much as they bother you as the son. Yeah. Because you as the son, like, they bother you. Yeah. And I just be like, I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, like, I'm getting to a point to where now I don't let a lot of things bother me, or at least I'm trying not to. And I kind of like let it fall off my shoulder. You know, like I said, I sift through everything that I need and can use, and then what I can't,
you discard.
Yeah, I just let it go. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. Number 9, my in-laws try to turn me and my spouse against each other. That's a losing battle. For any parent.
I don't think that's happened.
No, it hasn't. But I just feel like for any parent to try to... I don't understand why a parent would do that, first off. Secondly, for any parent to do that, that should be a losing battle. The husband and wife have to realize, like, they're moving away from their parents and becoming one with their spouse. So with that being said, it just like for me, my whole thing is, who do I go to sleep with every night?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Who has my back in the situation that I'm in right now?
Who do I have kids with?
Right.
Take off the S.
Right.
But,
you know what I'm saying? But, you know, like, those are the things I think about when it comes to making a decision of who to stick by. Mm-hmm. And it's always going to be my wife.
And taking the biblical approach, you got to leave.
And cleave.
It's my cleave.
Yeah, I see the claw right there. Hey, but that was the article that we read that pretty much talked about the 9 different problems that you have with your in-laws and stuff like that. It's kind of hard. It's kind of difficult when you do have issues with your in-laws. So the best thing or the best advice I could give anybody, that I would give anybody, is to definitely communicate with your spouse the issues that you're having, and also try to build a relationship with your in-laws that you can have that conversation with them as well. Just because for me, what has worked, I have been able to call my in-laws and talk to them about issues that I'm having outside of my wife, and been able to really build a relationship with them, my own relationship. So more so of my wife like gaining a husband, but they're also gaining a son, and and vice versa for my wife and my parents. So you guys, if you run into issues with your in-laws, talk to your spouse about it. Make sure you're open with your spouse, because that's your first line of defense.
And don't start off with, you know what I don't like about your mama?
No, don't do that. Because nobody wants their mama to talk about.
I have a friend that actually started a conversation with her husband like that. And I was like, and how did that end?
Not the way she wanted.
Well, no, it ended okay once she got everything out, but it took a minute because they did a roundabout, like it was like a verbal boxing match of jabs, like, and your daddy did this and your mama did this, and then they came back and they realized that they both had the same issue with his mom. So it was like, I see where you were going. You just started out wrong.
You gotta know how to fight. You know what I'm saying? So. So you guys just, work on the relationships, you know what I'm saying? Because just as much as you becoming one with your spouse, you're also becoming a part of their family. So, and
that's hard for a lot of people to grasp as well, that you are no longer, that's not your immediate family anymore.
Right.
Like that you have a new immediate family, because people are so used to you being a certain way in that family setting. And then now you have to have your own family and your own things that are going with your family. So like, it's hard for people to see you grow up and change and evolve and thrive.
Definitely.
And
especially when they've seen you as a child.
Yeah, they've seen you be completely dependent on them, and then completely independent of them.
Right.
And sometimes even the roles change where they begin to depend on you.
Yeah.
So with that, it's really interesting to see the changes that occur. But you have to always call your family out on it before you expect your spouse to call your family out on it. Because even if the issue is with them, they still, you as the spouse still needs to start out with, hey, mom, this shouldn't be happening. Or, hey, dad, this shouldn't go this way. That way, it's not a defense up against your spouse. It's like, no, I noticed this, so let me tell you what I don't like about it.
Gotcha. So, do we have any listener letters for today?
Yes, we do. So please send your listener letters to ouraugustlovestory@gmail.com, and we may be able to read it aloud on the show and give you some, I won't say great advice.
Give you our
at least advice that worked for us or would work for us.
or what we think would work.
Right. So this is actually a statement, and I just wanted to know, how would you bring this up to your spouse? So the statement was, my cousin got upset because he found his wife is on Tinder. But the only reason that he saw her profile because he was also on Tinder. How should he bring this up to his wife? So he came to his cousin asking for advice. His cousin was like, man, I ain't trying to get involved in that. So they wanted to reach out and see what we had to say about it.
I'm gonna let you go first on that one. Or do you want me to go?
I would just bring it up. Like, obviously, neither one of y'all like each other anymore. Like, I'm not saying the love isn't still there, but there is something that the two of you all are missing from each other that makes you feel like you need to go find it on Tinder of all places. And I'm not speaking bad about Tinder. It's just ironic that both of y'all chose Tinder as the way to get out of this relationship or have an extra relationship on top of this relationship. So I would bring it up, but I've never been on Tinder, but I would imagine that if he found her, she would also have scrolled past his profile so they know. So that should just be a conversation there, like, what are we doing and why are we here? So I would just bring it up, because who can get mad if we both doing the exact same thing?
Yeah, I don't feel like anybody can get mad just because, you're doing the same thing. I feel like there definitely needs to be a conversation to be had on the part of each other, just because you kind of got to figure out, okay, what is it that you're missing if we're married? Now, if you're boyfriend and girlfriend, it's
a wash.
Yeah, like, it's kind of like, it is what it is on that. But if you're married, you gotta have that conversation and find out, why are we on Tinder and what are we looking for?
Because we know it's not a friend.
It could be a friend, but why would you be looking for a friend on Tinder?
Tinder is not where you go look for friends.
Well, I don't know. I ain't never been on Tinder.
You go join a Facebook for people in your city if you're looking for a friend.
But I'm just saying, it's you figure out why you're on there. And I don't feel like that's the end of their marriage, or, you got to break up, or, you start searching for divorces. I just feel like there's a void that you're looking for, and you must have that conversation with your spouse to figure out what's going on in your marriage, and then you fight for it. Okay,
so Tommy's on Tinder.
Yeah.
Artieka's on Tinder. Tommy sees Artieka's profile. What does Tommy say to Artieka?
Tommy's silly, man.
No, because Tommy's not gonna find that funny.
No, I'm not gonna find it funny, but I'm gonna definitely come to you and just say, hey, I saw you on Tinder. Literally, I'm gonna bring it up that way.
And I think you should.
Saw you on Tinder, but after that, I'm gonna bring it in as a silly way, just because I have to break the ice for myself, because it's an awkward conversation. It's definitely an awkwardness between the two, because you presenting your spouse with something that you thought you were keeping secret.
And turns out nobody
has a secret there. It's like both of you guys are doing the same thing. So what are we looking for in joining Tinder, and how do we do this?
Obviously a good time.
Right. And how do we do this in an adult manner? Is it something that we can save, or do we need to call it quits? And so those are the things that you should think about, you should bring up. And
is Tinder the one where you swipe right and swipe left?
Yeah, I think so.
I would swipe whatever way says I'm trying to get with you, and be like, caught you.
That's probably the worst thing to do, because at that point it's sneaking.
That ain't sneaking.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like,
if I saw you on there, like, I'm gonna put it in your face that I saw you.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like,
you secret apps on your phone now.
Can you do that?
I think iPhones have like secret apps or something. Androids probably do, but most people that I know aren't sneaking around and hiding apps and stuff. So
I just feel like, man, if you're on Tinder and your spouse is on Tinder,
I got some Tinder problems.
Y'all just trying to set up a threesome somewhere.
Tenderoni.
I think a threesome is trying to be started if both of you guys are on Tinder.
Open relationships are what start threesomes, Tommy, not Tinder.
Hey, I don't know.
Didn't we discuss this a long time ago?
We did.
So this is the second thing that can cause a threesome. Tinder
can cause, what we say, threesomes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, hope that helps.
Want to have a threesome? Get on Tinder.
Get on Tinder. But both of y'all got to be involved. Anyway.
Okay.
What quote you got for us, man?
So
you got something good for us?
I picked a song that you and our friend April seem to think that Lily enjoys.
Oh, Lily loves that song. She loves it.
I don't know. Lily seems to just enjoy life, and y'all just think that because she's enjoying life, she's a happy baby.
She definitely likes this song.
That's her jam. So I had a hard time trying to censor myself with this one. But the beginning verse, this is The Box by Roddy Ricch. That's what your shoulders do when you hear The Box. Pulling out the coupe at the lot, told him F12, F SWAT, busting out the bells out the box. I just hit a lick with the box. Had to put the stick in a box. I'm done.
That's it?
This is funny. I'm done.
Love it, man. I love it. That's too funny, man. Well, guys, I'm glad you guys joined us on this podcast, this episode of August Love Story. This episode was produced by 3M Media. Hopefully you guys don't have to go through those in-law issues, man. Hopefully if you do have issues with your in-laws, you're able to really resolve those issues and come and talk with them and talk with your spouse and everything and kind of build the relationship.
And while you're quarantined, just make out your list of issues and figure out how you gonna get past them. You ain't got nothing else to do.
You guys also, man, with this coronavirus and everything, you guys stay safe.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands and do whatever the CDC is asking you to do.
Stay at home.
Stay at home.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
That's my advice. Stay at home. Wash your hands.
But yeah. So what else you got? Oh, subscribe to the YouTube page.
August Love Story, the podcast.
The podcast. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify,
Google Play
Google
Music.
Play. Wherever you listen to your podcast, subscribe to us there as well.
And if we're not on the application that you listen to podcasts on, please let us know. And we can work on getting added there.
Yep. Like my wife said, if you have a question or you want us to read your letter or your question on the podcast, just send it to our August Love Story at gmail.com.
And you can always phrase it as my cousin or my friend.
Yeah. Follow August Love Story at August Love Story on Instagram.
Instagram is August Love Story. Facebook is August Love Story. My Instagram name is Artieka. Tommy's is
at I am Tommy T the third DA3RD.
Okay.
I like it.
Or you could just go to August Love Story's Instagram page and click on any post, and he is tagged in there.
And I am tagged there. So, yeah, man, you guys be awesome, be great, and I'm out.
Bye, guys.
Peace.